The next time you get your oil changed at my Q-Lube, you'll notice we've been doing something.
On Pat Buchanan, Donald Trump, organized religion, sexual harassment, and more. With us, the former World Wrestling Federation champion, now governor of Minnesota, the one and only Jesse Ventura.
And the situation.
Then,
it's not art, it's disgusting.
New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani wants to shut down an art exhibit he says is anti-Catholic. His critics say he is trashing the First Amendment. Will this affect his probable Senate race against Hillary Clinton? With us, Rudy Giuliani. And this weekend, 7 presidential candidates addressed the Christian Coalition Conference. But the headliner was former Green Bay Packer, now evangelical minister, Reggie White.
And if we're doing everything because of public opinion, crucify me. Because I will not fall under the politically correct system.
He'll be our guest. And Dutch, a memoir of Ronald Reagan, continues to make headlines and stir controversy.
I just found that outrageous, and grossly mean and unfair.
With us in his only Sunday morning interview, author Edmund Moore.
On the way out.
But first, late Friday, I talked with the Reform Party governor of Minnesota, Jesse Ventura. Governor Ventura, someone just dropped Playboy magazine on my desk, and it says here, the next president, Jesse the Interview Ventura. Let me show you and our viewers what you told Playboy and give you a chance to respond. Question, if you decide to run for president, what would be your game plan? Jesse Ventura, my plan would be to stay out of it until next July. I would let Gore and Bush hang each other with all the rope they have to the point where the public can't stand either of them. Their disapproval ratings would skyrocket. Then you enter the race 3 months before the election and take the whole thing. All it is gaining the momentum at the right time. Like I did here in Minnesota, we peaked perfectly, and they couldn't stop us when it happened. The other 2 candidates didn't even see it coming. Governor, are you thinking about entering the presidential race next July?
No, Tim, I'm not. What that was an interview I did with Playboy, one of hundreds that I do throughout the course of my career as governor. And it was a hypothetical situation. The writer simply asked me, what would my game plan be if I did run for president in the 2000 election? And that's what I told him it would be, and I believe it could be successful.
Under no circumstances, absolutely none, Sherman-esque statement, Jesse Ventura will not run for president in the year 2000.
As we sit here today, I say that no, I will not, but hey, stranger things have happened, I guess, but I have no intention at this time to run for president. I made a commitment to the state of Minnesota to be governor, and I'll fulfill that commitment.
I see that door opening like a politician, Governor. I have no intention at that. Will you?
Well, Tim, it's like this. What happens if you win and you don't run? Do you have to do it?
In 1992, Bill Clinton had promised he would serve his full 4-year term as governor of Arkansas. He went around the state and asked the voters of Arkansas to release him from his pledge. Would Governor Ventura think about going to the voters of Minnesota and say, you know, things have changed, circumstances are different, I want you to release me and allow me to run as the Reform Party candidate?
I have no plans to do that at this time, and I can't foresee that I would.
But it is a possibility if the circumstances were right.
I'm not going to say that it is, because if I do, then it'll be splattered all over the newspapers tomorrow that I'm a candidate. So no, it is not a possibility.
Would it bother you if Pat Buchanan was the Reform nominee for president?
It would trouble me somewhat, because Pat Buchanan is not a member of the Reform Party. He's Johnny-come-lately to the party. I would question his motives of why he's coming to the party. Is it simply to get his hands on the $12.5 million that's available to the candidate that we do select? Because Pat Buchanan's a Republican and always has been. Why at this time would he choose to become a Reform Party candidate when he's had nothing to do with the party in the past?
Will you try to stop him from becoming the nominee by supporting someone else?
I won't try to stop anyone. We're an inclusive party. If people want to join the Reform Party, they're certainly welcome to do so. I will, though, support the candidate of my choice and work very, very hard to ensure that that candidate wins the nomination and stands a good chance maybe of going on and becoming president.
Do you think that Donald Trump would be the kind of candidate you would support?
He's interesting. I've spoken with Donald Trump a couple of times. He's naturally out of the box. He's certainly not a career politician, and I see some parallels between Donald Trump and myself. He's certainly someone I would consider. I'm not supporting anyone yet, Tim, because no one has officially said they want to be the Reform Party candidate for governor. No one's throwing their hat in the ring. So it's all speculation at this point in time.
There have been suggestions that Ross Perot and his operation within the Reform Party would be supporting Pat Buchanan, using that as a vehicle to reassert claim over the Reform Party.
Well, who has claim to it now?
Who does?
Jack Gargan is the president, and the Reform Party's intact, and we're all members of it. I don't think it's a case of one person dictating to the party anymore. I think the party has its own legs and has grown up in the last number of years since its formation back in '92.
Jack Gargan, who was your candidate to become chairman of the Reform Party, he won. He takes office in January. On Friday, the current chairman of the Reform Party, Russ Verney, issued a statement, a letter, which says that your interview with Playboy, you have brought shame to yourself and disgrace to the members of the Reform Party. For the good of the members, you should resign now from the Reform Party of the United States of America. What do you say to Mr. Verney?
Well, I guess, you know, considering that they did nothing to help me to get elected, they probably didn't support me in the first place anyway when I ran for governor of Minnesota, because they did virtually nothing to help me win the election here. So I guess they just simply have their own agenda. And if one interview in Playboy magazine constitutes bringing shame and someone should resign from a party, well, I guess I think they have ulterior motives, Tim. I think that if they can try to convince me to get out of the way like that, then some way they can try to gain their stranglehold control of the party again.
Let me show you and our viewers some of the things you said in the interview and give you a chance to explain exactly what you meant. The first was religion. And you said organized religion is a sham and a crutch for weak-minded people who need strength in numbers. It tells people to go out and stick their noses in other people's business. You went on to say the religious right wants to tell people how to live. Governor, as you know, 65% of the people in your state, some 3 million, are members of organized religion. Do you believe that priests and nuns and ministers and rabbis are really, could be considered weak-minded people?
No, I don't. Not necessarily. And being weak-minded is not necessarily a detriment, Tim. It just means that you have a weakness and therefore you go to organized religion to help strengthen yourself. That's the context in which I talked about it. And for those people, it's okay. I was speaking very much of my own viewpoint and my own life experiences and things that I've seen. Like when I was overseas in the military, I had a dear friend who lived in a very impoverished country who was sticking a large amount of money in an envelope. And I asked him what it was for, and he said, well, I have to pay to have my nephew baptized. And I said, well, excuse me, I remember John doing it for free in the river. Why do you have to pay? And he said, if you don't pay, you don't get baptized. And that bothered me greatly because I see many cases of organized religion just simply going out and becoming a money-making machine and a business like any other business, the business of selling religion and religious beliefs.
Who in particular troubles you with that?
No one in particular. I believe that there's honesty and integrity that has to happen, and I believe that if you look at the Jesus Christ that I know, he hung out with the worst people that there was.
Do you believe in God?
Absolutely.
Do you consider yourself a Christian?
Yes. But I don't believe necessarily that I need a church to go to. I can go, my religious beliefs can be by a lake, they can be on a hill, they can be in the solitude of my own office. And I believe that there's no set example of what people's beliefs should be.
But do you believe that Jesus Christ is the Savior?
Yeah. According to the religious beliefs that I have. Mm-hmm.
One of the things you said that was interesting to me, quote, I haven't caused any wars, has religion. You do believe that religion, organized religion, has caused wars?
Absolutely. What's happened in Ireland for years and years and years? That's they're not fighting over potatoes up there.
Let me turn to another quote in the magazine article, and this was about the sexual harassment during the Tailhook incident. I don't condone what happened, but I understand it. These are people who live on the razor's edge and defy death and do things where people die. They're not going to consider grabbing a woman's breast or buttocks a major situation. That's much ado about nothing. As you know, many people men and women, were very outraged by that, suggesting you were giving that kind of behavior a free pass.
Not at all. I support the fact that they were court-martialed. What I was saying there, Tim, was very simple. I said, I don't condone it. That answered the question. What I said was, but I do understand why and how it happened, as I stated in the article. And when I said much ado about nothing, I was putting myself in the place of these particular individuals who defy death and who are asked to go out in some instances and kill people. And you bring liquor into a situation like that, and in the atmosphere that happened there, bad things can happen. We create our own Frankenstein monsters, and then we're appalled when they misbehave or malfunction. You have to remember, Tim, you can't just flip a switch and ask them to go do what they do, and then when they come back, flip another switch and turn them off.
But you're suggesting that someone who is a trained pilot or a trained SEAL is so wired that they can't come back into civilization and behave in a civilized way.
There's certain instances where they can get out of control, like what happened here. You're not talking about an individual here, Tim. You're talking about a group that went to a convention and started getting drunk and started drinking and getting with bad behavior. The same as a frat party can get out of hand, so can it with these type of individuals, and that's what happened there. I am not condoning the behavior. As I said in the article, I simply said I understood how it could happen and why it could happen.
But you do believe it is possible for someone in the military to be an officer and a gentleman?
Absolutely. I'm not saying that, absolutely.
The last...
Colin Powell is an officer and a gentleman.
When we last talked, and I was out in Minnesota, your favorable rating was about 70%. You had just cut taxes and balanced the budget. Looking to the next legislative session, what are your priorities as the reform governor of Minnesota?
Well, my priorities is I want to give the people of Minnesota the opportunity to vote on their constitution with a constitutional amendment and give them the opportunity to choose whether they want bicameral legislation or unicameral one-house legislation. And I think it's an opportunity that the citizens of Minnesota deserve to make. It's an opportunity they should make. They're amending their constitution or the manner in which we do government, which should not be done by elected legislators. It should be something done by the citizens of Minnesota. I just want to get it on the ballot and then let democracy take its course. Let bicameral make their argument, let unicameral make their argument, and let the voters decide what our government will be into the new millennium.
Governor, when you have a controversy like the Playboy interview, and people say you were anti-religion, anti-woman, anti-overweight people, does that affect in a negative way your ability to unite and lead the state of Minnesota?
I certainly hope not, because those are simply things that I say in an interview. They have no bearing on how I govern the state of Minnesota. They don't have bearing on decisions that I make. I separate church and state when I operate as governor of the state of Minnesota, which is supposedly the way it's supposed to work. I don't believe it has a bearing. What I do believe is this. I think this, Tim, that if you're honest like I am and elected to a high position, if you keep that honesty, then you are going to go through troubled waters. It's going to be a tough row to hoe if you keep that honesty. And what I mean by that is it's so simple to be politically correct. It's so simple to give the right answer, what they expect to hear from you, which is what career politicians do, because they do that so they can get elected over and over and over again and continue on with their careers. But when you're honest like me and you're going to give honest answers, certainly people won't agree with me. Certainly some of them may get angry at the honesty, but I hope they'll at least respect me for being honest, an honest person who's not afraid to say what he feels.
Are you concerned that you're sometimes too blunt, too indiscreet, and should be more monitored and more appropriate in some of the ways you look at things?
Well, that's been tradition in a job like this, but it's certainly not going to be me, Tim. If I start doing that, then I'm not me, am I? You know, that's who I am. That's the way I've always been. I speak my mind, and like I said, if it offends some people, well, there's not much I can do about that. But I'm going to be honest. I'm going to continue to speak my mind, and that's who I am.
How much of this is done for entertainment or shock value, where you get accustomed as the wrestling champion in the middle of the ring, center of attention, when it comes to an interview where the light goes on, you're kind of enjoying it, and you'll push the limit a little bit?
Well, I'll tell you this, I won't do a wrestling magazine interview. Because if I were to do a wrestling magazine interview, heck, who knows what kind of things the press would take from that. It's all in what you're doing. You do an interview for Playboy. Playboy wants a provocative interview. They want something that's going to sell issues. It doesn't mean I carry this Playboy interview in with me and do policy with it. That's ridiculous. It's one interview in many, many that I do. And, you know, you're going to say things that, it's like the author of the article said, I heard this morning, he told Minnesota, you've got a nuclear meltdown happening in Asia. You've got all these other major issues going on. And here's the state of Minnesota and their media in an uproar over a Playboy interview. He said, Minnesota, get a life. And I think that they better listen to that a little bit.
Your friend Arnold Schwarzenegger gave an interview to Talk Magazine and said that he is considering running for governor of California. Your advice this morning to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Did you see Rodney Dangerfield in Back to School? Do you remember when he gave the keynote address at graduation and he told the kids, don't do it. Stay with mom and dad. Stay in school. It's a cruel world out there. My advice to Arnold Schwarzenegger in light of what happens to me and the situations that I've been in, not that I'm not a fighter and can't take it, my advice to Arnold as a friend is continue with your movie career, Arnold. Don't get involved in it. It won't be worth it to you.
But if he wanted to, do you think he'd be a good governor?
I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is a brilliant man. He's a self-driven man, a self-made man. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger can be good at anything he desires to do, whether it be bodybuilding, movie acting, or be a governor. I think he could do an outstanding job. But again, my personal advice as his friend, I would tell him not to do it.
Before we go, Playboy concluded its interview by asking if you were reincarnated, what would you want to come back as? And you gave a Jesse Ventura classic answer. If I could be reincarnated as a fabric, I would like to come back as a 38 double D bra. I thought you were a big thinker.
Well, I've rethought that position, Tim, and I would like to reconsider that because if the bra was on you, no.
You always have a comeback, don't you, Governor? Agree with him or not, Jesse Ventura is certainly unique. Coming next, another controversial figure. New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani takes on the Brooklyn Museum and the First Amendment. Is Hillary Clinton next? Then he's gone from sacking the quarterback to preaching the gospel. Why has Reggie White aligned himself with the Christian Coalition? All coming up right here on Meet the Press.
Meet the Press is sponsored by the Archer Daniels Midland Company. ADM, supermarket to the world.
Do both of them. So, any guesses who's going to win the game?
Oh, imagine them be the better team.
Woo! Nervous about that market?
Why, they're running out of pork chops?
No, I meant the stock market.
Oh, that. Not worried about that.
So, who helps you manage your money?
Those guys.
These guys.
See, Pete.
Nearly $200 billion in assets under management. Mass Mutual, the blue chip company.
Your website's going to be set up like an MMDS gigabyte.
A website should be ordered in.
I will give you art.
This is your webpage, baby.
Making website is like making good jam.
Developed with the highest in technology.
Got a hard drive.
Who wants some? Who wants some? Look at the can.
Who designs your website is up to you. Hooking it up and delivering the goods, leave that up to us.
But of course, you ship everything.
FedEx.
Like a FedEx plane.
FedEx, be absolutely sure.
Hey, this is your contractor. I know we said we'd be back this week, but we won't. I can't locate those fixtures. Yeah, it's no hole in the tile.
I can't believe this is happening. It's everything we've ever dreamed of.
The GE monogram collection, the best of both European and American design combined with GE's world-class performance. It's the silver lining in the dark cloud of renovation.
Me again? I can't make it next week either.
It's perfect.
The best things in life just come naturally. Like the natural vitamin E that ADM makes from soybeans. Now available in many leading brands of dietary supplements, it can help you maintain cardiovascular health, a good cholesterol level, and maybe even help you feel younger longer. Natural vitamin E from ADM. Do what comes naturally.
Do you need this much space to feel comfortable? Do you need to feel the breeze on your face? Is taking a nap really the best use of your time? Introducing the all-new redesigned Avalon, the most spacious, most luxurious sedan we've ever created. Do you need this much space to feel comfortable?
Mayor Giuliani, welcome. This was the scene yesterday, the Brooklyn Museum, the exhibit Sensation opening to huge crowds lined up for blocks trying to see this exhibit of the Blessed Virgin Mary, which is was splattered with elephant dung in the eye of the artist. New York City is the art capital of the world. Why are you trying to censor free expression?
I'm not. Actually, the museum and the exhibit would have every right to do what they're doing if they did it in one of the many, many private museums that exist in the city and would pay for it themselves. The problem with this is a publicly subsidized museum that receives $7, $8, $9 million a year from the city of New York, the hard-earned dollars of the taxpayers of the city. It's also a museum, Tim, in which there's a specific lease in which if you're going to close down access to the museum and you're going to charge people money, they're charging, I think, $9 a person or something like that, you have to specifically get the permission of the mayor and of the commissioner. So this is not one of the hundreds and hundreds of private museums supported by private dollars. This is a museum on property that is owned by the city of New York, where the city of New York gives them hard-earned taxpayers' dollars, and then, very unusually, you know, the lease says the mayor has to approve cutting down access, and the mayor has to approve taking a free museum and turning it into a commercialized museum for profit. And, you know, for better or worse, I'm the mayor right now, and I had to make that decision.
I was reading Newsweek magazine last week, and let me share with you and our viewers what it said. In fact, the Whitney Museum's just opened the American Century Part 2, features Andre Serrano's infamous Piss Christ photograph, plus a sculpture of a nude woman trailing in a long strand of excrement. A Giuliani envoy at the preview extolled the mayor's efforts to bus school kids to the show. Why would you pay for school children on buses paid for the city to go see an exhibit that had these kinds of features?
Well, first of all, that isn't true. I didn't pay for school children to go, and I said that personally I was very, very opposed to that particular exhibit. But that's in a museum that is not owned by the city of New York. That is a private museum. It's in a museum in which the mayor does not have to approve or disapprove the use of public funds. It doesn't have public funds. So that's really the point that I'm trying to make, Tim, that the First Amendment hysterics try to avoid, the people who attack you unfairly. And that is, if this were done on private property with private money, I could personally oppose it because it not only includes dung being thrown at the Virgin Mary, it also has the private parts of women displayed all over that painting, which is conveniently left out of the description by the press. There's also in this particular exhibit two dead pigs that are dissected in formaldehyde. There's a cow whose head is cut off. There's a pedophile who is glorified in a painting with the fingerprints of the children that the pedophile attacked. So, I mean, this is something which if you privately want to pay for it and do it, fine. But if you're asking me as the mayor of the city of New York, am I going to approve the hard-earned dollars of the people of the city supporting this, then I have to say no. And for standing up for that principle, I'm being attacked by the First Amendment hysterics.
Where do you draw the line, Mr. Mayor? The New York City grants franchisees for cable TV. Can you demand that the people who put cable TV on the air not put pornography on the air?
Tim, that's what the hysterics are trying to do. I think I drew the line very clearly. The line is, if it says in a lease on property owned by the city of New York that I have to approve your closing down that property in order to put pedophiles on parade, to desecrate a very important religious or national symbol of the people of America, the people of the city of New York, then I'm going to disapprove. Why is the provision there, other than the fact that I have some right to have some discretion about this in exchange for the $8 million worth of funding? I think the fact that we don't interfere with private museums and private exhibits actually makes the case for us and against the people who try to misuse the First Amendment.
As you know,
nobody is trying to suppress this exhibit. I'm very much opposed to it, but what I'm saying is hard-earned public tax dollars should not be used for what I consider to be, and I think many people in the city, a desecration of religion, and then also some other very, very sick things, the animals, the pedophiles. Right. So don't use public tax dollars. Believe me, there are plenty of private museums in this city, for better or worse, that would exhibit this. Just use your own money.
The Daily News went out and talked to New Yorkers, interviewed them for a poll. This is what they found, that 30% of the New Yorkers agree with you, 60% agree with the museum, the exhibit should be open, and even amongst Catholics, only 42% agree with you, 48% agree with the museum. Some have suggested, Mr. Mayor, that you're using this as an issue to pander to the Conservative Party of New York to secure their nomination for the Senate. Have you spoken to anyone in the Conservative Party?
No.
Has anyone in your administration?
Tim.
Has anyone in your administration spoken to the Conservative Party? No.
No. And the poll you just put up there makes the opposite point, doesn't it? It says that most people are against me on this. So maybe this is hard, I know, to really deal with. Maybe there's a matter of principle, and it isn't something that has to do with political calculation. And 30% represents a sizable minority within any city. But look, maybe it would be easier for you and others to understand if this were another racial, religious, or ethnic group. But 30% of the people that are highly offended about their religion, their national symbols, their sensibilities being attacked is a very large percentage of people that the mayor has a right to defend. And what I'm saying is very simple. Nobody wants to suppress it. Put it in a private museum. Pay for it yourself. Do not take money out of the pockets of that 30% of the people where you're doing tremendous damage to their sensibilities, their views, their ideas. In America, what it means is we have to all respect each other, and that 30% is also entitled to respect.
Do you think that your opposition will help you with the Conservative Party? Or,
I have no idea. That poll, that poll is something that was taken publicly, so I haven't been able to look at the internal parts of it. I'll worry and think about the political effect of it, or be happy about the political effect of it, who knows, weeks from now. I did not, before I took this position, I didn't do what some politicians do. We tried to do this on principle, and people can agree or disagree with the principle, but stop all the kind of nasty personal attack.
Let me ask you about a couple other issues that may affect your potential Senate run. The Conservative Party is very much opposed to late-term or partial birth abortion. You have supported that, have opposed any limitations placed on late-term abortion. Is that still your position? Well,
within the state of New York, the legislation that was proposed was legislation that I believe was not necessary, and that is still my position. That position was taken 2 years ago. I have no reason to review it at this point.
Puerto Rican terrorists were released by the President of the United States. You denounced it along with many others, and yet you support the release of the Israeli spy, Jonathan Pollard. Why are you opposed to the Puerto Rican terrorists being freed, but in favor of Israeli spies?
That's too simplistic an analysis of the two things. I mean, it really is. The fact is that in the Pollard case, I wrote a letter several years ago saying that his sentence was disproportionate to other people who had served time for precisely the same crime. It comes out of my knowledge and background of having handled, I think, over 1,000 pardons during the Reagan administration. So it was a comparative to the sentences that other people for similarly situated crimes had taken. And therefore, I said, in his particular case, that would justify consideration for clemency. Also, he would then have to do the things that the FALN terrorists didn't do. He'd have to renounce terrorism and renounce violence. He'd have to be remorseful. He'd have to immediately agree not to associate with people that he was engaged in those criminal acts. So that was a rather simplistic analysis of the FALN situation. My opposition there was based not on comparative sentences, but on the fact that they refused to renounce violence, refused to immediately agree not to meet with each other, showed no remorse for the terrible crimes and that they committed. The administration was improperly describing the crime. Said they weren't involved in violence. They were involved in violence.
As you know, the head of the CIA is against the release of Mr. Pollard.
He has a right to be. He has a right to be against it, and the president has to weigh that decision. But you've asked me to compare the two situations, which were very quickly and simplistically put, and I did.
Minimum wage. As you know, there are 500,000 people in New York State who earn the minimum wage. Congress wants to give them a $40 a week raise, from $200 a week to $240, from $10,000 to $12,000. Rudy Giuliani against that. Why?
No, that's also wrong, Tim. That's also not correct. What I said and what I continue to say is what I'd like to see from Congress is a demonstration of how that would affect the welfare to work program. We've moved 510,000 people off welfare in New York City. We were just cited by the Rockefeller organization, and it was on the front page of the New York Times, having the most successful welfare to work program in the United States. We require people on welfare to work in New York City, which is why we've gotten more people off welfare than any place else in the country. We're building a work ethic. What I wanted to see was an analysis of how many jobs would that cut out, because you will also cut out jobs if you raise the minimum wage. So
you could.
Yes, I could be convinced if that's the question.
You could be in favor of increasing the minimum wage.
Yes, I could be if in fact it did not do damage to people on welfare being able to get jobs and our welfare to work program, which is, as I said, the most successful in the country.
Do you think Hillary Clinton's going to run?
I think you have to get her on the show, Tim. Ask her these questions. I do know that Baltimore's not in the playoffs, though.
Oh, you're tough. What about you? What's your timetable? When do you think you'll announce for the Senate?
I don't have a timetable yet. We're doing all the things to organize and to raise the money and get the support that we need to run for the Senate. But I haven't really focused on a timetable yet.
Mr. Mayor, good luck to the Yankees and to the Mets and to New York State's only football team, the Buffalo Bills. Coming next, football great Reggie White is now preaching the conservative Christian gospel. And Edmund Morris defends his unusual biography of Ronald Reagan. Reggie White, Edmund Morris, both coming up on Meet the Press.
The only way to avoid saying, "Why didn't I think of that?" is to think of it first.
How come creating one document takes 2 printers? What genius thought of this? You send half a job to the black and white printer, half to the color machine. And you're what? A human collator? Where exactly is this office of the future we keep hearing about? These magic machines of the new millennium. The ones that deliver laser-sharp black text in stunning color. Bring you from that sick 2-machine marathon you once called your work day. The Image Class series from Canon. Here's the future. Let's get to work.
Look at that. They changed the Camry.
Introducing the newly updated Camry.
Record. We want to live in our home.
Not a nursing home.
We want our children to care about us.
Not for us.
I want to grow old gracefully.
With dignity.
All good intentions, but help make them a reality with long-term care insurance from GE. GE gives you options like care in your own home to help preserve your independence and life savings.
I want my grandchildren to inherit more.
More than just memories. For long-term care insurance, think of GE.
He was called the Minister of Defense, football great and preacher Reggie White, after this brief station break.
This week on Today, a new book that claims you can outsmart your HMO to get the health care you want. Plus, Aretha Franklin, Harrison Ford, and more. This week on Today.
Monday. Mayday. It sounds like the call of someone in danger, but it's a hoax that cost taxpayers millions. The Fleecing of America, NBC Nightly News, Monday.
He's a man of vision. He's Martin Short.
It's all new. It's all exciting.
The Martin Short Show. Weekdays at 11 on News Channel 8.
Notice the weather lately? The hottest decade on record. Heat waves, wildfires, Droughts, floods. What's happening? Leading scientists say the Earth is literally heating up, and the hotter it gets, the more extreme our weather will get. It's called global warming. Experts say it's mostly due to years of pollution from power plants and cars. There are solutions. Find out what business, government, and you can do to help. It's time to start fixing global warming now.
News Channel 8 can also be seen on these local translators.
And we're back. Reggie White, welcome to Meet the Press.
Thank you.
Our previous guest, Jesse Ventura, also a former athlete, had some things to say about organized religion, which you're involved in. Let me show you on the screen, our viewers. Organized religion is a sham and a crutch for weak-minded people who need strength in numbers. It tells people to go out and stick their noses in other people's business. The religious right wants to tell people how to live. You weak-minded?
Well, I think that all of us end up being weak-minded until we come to Christ. You know, the Bible says that we are weak, but he is strong. And I think that the only way we can be strong is through Christ Jesus. So, you know, I think that anyone who lives any kind of way he wants to do and do anything he wants to do is weak-minded. But God makes us strong once we come to him.
About 90% of African Americans in the United States support the Democrats and the Democratic Party candidate for president. You've endorsed religious conservative Gary Bauer. Why is Reggie White a conservative endorsing Republicans?
Well, I'm not a conservative. I don't know what a conservative is, to be honest with you. I may be a conservative thinker, but I hadn't aligned myself with the Republican Party or the conservatives. I mean, I support Gary on the issues. Gary came out last year and supported myself, and we've gotten to know each other over the last year, and there's some issues that I support him in, but I don't support him as a conservative or Republican.
Let me show you some things that you've said. You have a book called Fighting the Good Fight by Reggie White, and put it on the screen for you and our viewers. This is, as white folk have become caught up in the money chase, we've seen a decline in spirituality. To be candid, I think a lot of white folk have concluded they don't need God to turn things around. I believe that black folk have to lead the way. Black Americans should stop chasing the white man's dream of material prosperity and return to their dream, the dream of faith. If someone white said that about someone black,
they can't say it because we've never been in that position to be able to go out to the money chase. I mean, we were brought to this nation and enslaved in this nation for the purpose of prospering Europeans through slavery. Our labor was free, and we really didn't prosper off of our slavery. So the thing is that I think we've gotten caught up in the money chase. Now, I'm not talking about all white people. I'm talking about really the system that has been created by white Europeans. And we as black people have to start chasing after our dream of our relationship with Christ. Really where it started while we were here in slavery.
Aren't there some great black entrepreneurs who want to help break blacks out of the chains of poverty into economic success?
Yeah, what I mean, you got to look at the history of this nation. And yes, there are some great black entrepreneurs, but that's really occurred recently, here in the last 30 years. And that's not too long ago that's occurred.
Let me show you something else you said, and this is about abortion, and it caught certainly my attention. There's no way to sugarcoat the points I'm about to make. Quite simply, the history of the abortion rights movement is a history of genocide against black Americans. That's a strong charge.
Well, it's a strong charge, and it can be proven if you read up on the history of Margaret Sanger. I mean, she made comments that one of her goals was to eliminate blacks, Jews, Catholics, and poor whites in many respects. And I think that through her program and through Planned Parenthood, she was a woman that was an admitted racist. She was a woman that admired Hitler and the things that he did. And our tax money is paying for an organization that was started by a woman who wanted to eliminate black people and other ethnic minorities.
The number of blacks has increased about 130% over the last 50 years. Number of whites only 60% in the U.S. So there's no real genocide.
Well, I mean, the thing is that our numbers are being maintained. I mean, you look at the Hispanic population, it's growing immensely because of immigration. You look at the black population, it's been steady for years. And in many respects, we're not allowing other blacks from other countries to immigrate into the United States like we have allowed Hispanics to immigrate into this country.
Reggie White also had something to say about homosexuals. Let me put that on the screen and get your reaction. Nature penalizes people for engaging in homosexual sex. God doesn't penalize them. Nature does. What does that mean?
Well, it's an unnatural act. I mean, God created a man and woman. If you look in the Bible, in the beginning of the Bible, he created a woman to be the helpmate and to be the partner of a man. He didn't create another man to be the partner of a man or another woman to be the partner of a man. He created them to reproduce. He told them to be fruitful and multiply. And that can only happen through a relationship between a woman and a man, in a marriage relationship.
You must have known some homosexual gay players in your days of
No,
life.
I've never known.
You never have?
No.
Do you think that AIDS is God's way, nature's way of punishing homosexuals?
I think it's man's way of punishing themselves. You know, God has enacted laws throughout nature, and man has punished himself with the immoral and the illicit act that he's gotten involved in himself.
You're a father.
Yes.
And you had this to say about corporal punishment. And let me put it on the screen for you and our viewers. I believe that corporal punishment is critical for raising a good child. To tell you the truth, the last 2 times I whooped my kids, I cried, but I knew I'd done the right thing by them. You actually hit your children.
I whoop my children. I mean, I don't hit my children out of anger. I don't beat them. The Bible said if you spare the rod, you hate your son. There has to be a certain amount of discipline. I got discipline when I was growing up. Many of the people that I know was disciplined when they were growing up. And if it wasn't for that discipline, I may not be the man that God has called me to be. But the thing is that we've allowed disorder amongst our children, and now our children are in chaos right now because we've not given them that discipline. And yes, I do whip my kids when they get out of line. But
you're a big guy. You're afraid of hurting them?
No, because I won't go that far. I won't hurt them. I mean, like I said, I use a belt. I don't use my hand. You know, I give them a certain amount of licks according to what they've done. But after that, I make sure that I hug and kiss both my son and my daughter and have them to explain to me why I did what I did.
Where do you see America going in the next century?
If we continue to allow, you know, America is continuing to fight for rights. People want their rights. In order to have our rights in God's eyes, we have to be righteous. You know, we talk about the First Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and things of that nature, but giving us our rights to do anything and live any kind of way we want to. There's an order in God's kingdom. And many of us who run around saying we're Christians, we're really not, because we're not living out the way the scriptures has commanded us to live out. So this nation was built on Christian principles. And many people say, well, you got different religions, so you should allow people to worship any God they want to. That's fine, but this nation was built on Christian principles, and we should continue to implement those principles within our nation.
Reggie White, we thank you for joining us with your views.
Thank you.
Coming next, the life and presidency of Ronald Reagan through the eyes of Edmund Morris. Does he paint an accurate picture of the 40th president of the United States? Coming up right here on Meet the Press.
As long as there are Sunday drives in the country and holiday flights home, as long as big cities need bright lights and we never get tired of things that go fast and far and high, the people of Texaco will go to the ends of the earth to find the energy the world needs to keep going. Texaco, a world of energy.
Don't you just love this job?
240 hours restoring an old baseball field in East Cleveland. 300 hours reading with first graders in a school near Albany. 12,000 hours teaching science in Louisville. 2,000 hours mentoring high school seniors in Cincinnati. This year, GE volunteers across the country will spend over 1 million hours helping others because they know the best way to change things is to reach out a hand.
Thanks for making a leave. For almost 5 years, I had a hard time walking. I went from doctor to doctor, but even after surgery, I had some pain. Tylenol worked for a while, then quit, and the pain came back. Finally, a doctor suggested a leave. Within a week, I was dancing all night like I hadn't done in years.
A leave can stop pain all day with just 2 pills. It would take 8 Tylenol to do that.
Now people say I'm a walking advertisement for a leave.
All day strong, all day long.
I'm not really close to Anna Kournikova. First of all, there's that whole language thing.
A P/E ratio is price divided by earnings. Earnings per share is a company's net income minus preferred dividends.
It's like she's speaking a different language.
Can anyone say asset allocation? Mid cap, small cap.
When we created a smarter kind of investment firm,
growth fund.
We created a smarter kind of investor.
Besides, some of the other players are kind of jealous of her, you know, portfolio.
Great Harvest Red has over 100 stores connected across the country.
There's no other way to grow your business besides talking to other people.
Like thousands of businesses today, Great Harvest store owners use the internet and Microsoft software to share knowledge and make better decisions.
So now we can compare stores versus stores. You know, my suppliers know that I constantly look at prices. So they're less apt to raise prices because they know that I know what I know.
Edmund Morris, welcome.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning.
Who is Ronald Reagan?
Took me 14 years to find out. He's the man enshrined in my book. Ronald Reagan was Ronald Reagan all his life, in the sense that he knew from his early childhood who he was and what he was. I have never known any person, either through personal knowledge or through study, who had such a massive, massive sense of personal identity. He had identity, but he had no ego, and that was the paradoxical thing about him. He had no apparent vanity, but he knew who he was with such force that in situations where he was called upon to represent the entire United States, he seemed to embody the United States.
As you know, your book has met with a lot of criticism, particularly from conservatives. Ronald Reagan's favorite newspaper, Human Events, says, Morris mangles Reagan. George Will said your work was dishonorable. Robert Novak said disgraceful. Peggy Noonan says dumb. Robert Bartley, Wall Street Journal, said you're conceited. And they all point to many of the same phrases. Let me show them on the screen and to you and give you a chance to respond. The first is this: Dutch remained a mystery to me, and worse still, dare I entertain such heresy in the hushed and reverent precincts of his office, an apparent airhead. And in the book, not one sentence, not even the odd stray phrase was colored with original observation, talking about the president's diaries. And you said, beyond amazement, I was distressed by the relentless banality, not to say incoherence, of the president's replies in interviews. That's an image of Ronald Reagan that conservatives think play into the hands of Reagan critics.
Well, ideological loyalty, which is what conservatives have for their gods and their gurus, and for that matter, the same loyalty applies to liberals. Ideological loyalty is a form of sentimentality. There is a basic inability of the political mind, the ideological mind, such as George Will's or Bob Novak's, to comprehend that a great man can be fallible in private, can sometimes be comically fallible in private. I have no doubt whatsoever that Reagan was a great man and a great president. But some of his conversation, as you may possibly have noticed yourself, in private was quite astonishingly banal.
You said that he told you the same story 17, 18, 32 times. What story?
Oh, his stories were without number. For example, the story about how he became a young sportscaster and went out in the depths of the Depression and pounded the highways and walked and beat on doors and finally got a job. And
he told you that story, more than once.
He probably told me that story 18, 27 times. I didn't count them. But always, every time, with exactly the same language, the same inflections, the same laughs, the same pauses at the same moments. The stories were that particular story fascinated me the first, second, third, fourth time, but by the fifth time, I was beginning to be bored.
You said that Reagan perceived the world, even his own family, as an audience.
Yes. He was by nature an actor, which is not an indictment of his character. In fact, I love actors, and I was fascinated by the fact that that's what he was. But actors are trained not to focus too closely on their individual witnesses, spectators. Jeremy Irons once told me that when he was a young actor and he was in the middle of a performance and he knew he was doing spectacularly well, that he could not resist sneaking a peek at the audience to see how he was impacting on a particular person. He focused on this guy and he saw the guy looking up, and he said, never again is he going to look at any individual member of the audience. What Reagan saw through his myopic eyes was a general blur of smiling, affectionate, worshipping faces. That's how he saw his family, that's how he saw the American people, that's how he saw the world.
You write that his son Michael said that Ronald Reagan did not recognize his own son at his graduation. that his son Ronald said, "I love my dad, but our relationship is this deep." Not particularly close to his children.
No. And I'm happy to say that in the midst of all this brouhaha, 3 of the children have been very supportive. They've, in effect, said to me separately that this is the man that they remember.
Not Maureen Reagan. She's very unhappy.
No, Maureen's an ideologue, and she's carrying the family banner.
Why did you dedicate the book to Christine Reagan, a child of Ronald Reagan and Jane Wyman that lived just 24 hours and no one really knew?
Less than 24 hours. She lived just one day. Well, Christine was the mute precipitator of the total breakdown, the largest trauma of Reagan's life. Through complete coincidence, he happened to have a near-death experience from viral pneumonia. He lay at the point of death in this particular hospital in Los Angeles in the summer of 1947, as his wife, Jane Wyman, was giving birth to this premature daughter in another hospital a few miles away. She lost this child. She was unable to be with her husband when he was on the point of death. He was unable to be with her when she was dealing with this child's mortality. The child died. She was flesh of his flesh and Jane's. She had a name, she had an identity, she died. After that, the marriage was irretrievably destroyed. His movie career went into ashes, and he rediscovered himself as a politician, just as Jane rediscovered herself as an actress superior to him. I remember Christine with enormous tenderness and affection, and I thought she should be remembered.
Iran-Contra. Do you believe that Ronald Reagan traded arms for hostages? And do you believe, after reporting on this for 14 years, that he believed he traded arms for hostages?
No, I believe he did, and he, to this day, or at least to the end of his conscious, logical life, could not believe in his heart that he had done that. Because Reagan felt that he was doing something essentially benign, he was quite prepared to believe that there was goodwill coming out of Iran, and that his goodwill could be joined to their goodwill. Because he thought it was a goodwill trade, he could not accept afterwards that it had been a trade inimical to the interests of the United States.
As genial as a man he was, he also had some very harsh views of former presidents. Let me show you on the screen Nixon, Ford, and Carter. This is what he had to say about Nixon. He's less than honest, and he's an ambitious opportunist, completely undeserving of the high honor paid him. And about Ford, I didn't think he had done anything very impressive here. I just didn't think he was presidential quality. And on Jimmy Carter, after he left here in the White House, he was the only president to become a nobody. Pretty harsh judgments.
And on JFK, under the tousled hair, it is still the same Karl Marx. It was a very strange phenomenon that Ronald Reagan, who was such a genial person and who genuinely felt well, had good feelings, bon ami, toward everybody who came across him, was strangely contemptuous about his peers, the other presidents.
The most interesting thing to me in the book was his relationship with Nancy Reagan, who people view as so devoutly loyal and adoring of him. And let me show you what you write about that on the screen here. As I write these words, he's drifting beyond all comprehension of who she is and what she's done for him. Cool to her at the start, warm, even adoring when she suited his larger purpose, he is cold to her at the end. Meanwhile, she loves him still. In a sense, you portray it as an uneven relationship.
It is not possible to have an even relationship with a man as large as Ronald Reagan. Nancy is human and mortal, and he was on the edge of immortality, and certainly superhuman. Nancy, without question, loved him from the moment she laid eyes on him, and I think the book makes this abundantly clear. She's never loved him more than she loves him now. She's a doctor's daughter, and she's making his last days comfortable. But he always had larger purposes. There was no question that he needed her to an almost pathological degree. I remember a shot of him once taken in the skybox during the '88 convention when there was some tribute to Nancy, and he was unaware that he was being photographed for once. And there in the shadowy depths of the box was Ronald Reagan looking at his wife on stage, receiving the applause of the convention, and the expression of need on his face was almost shocking. He needed her to function. She took care of all the nasty challenges of life, domestic problems, financial problems. But when it came to policy and statesmanship, he didn't need her at all.
You report that the assassination attempt in 1981, the president came very close to death, much
Yes.
closer than people knew.
In fact, that was the second of his near-death experiences.
And the blood he was given, you say, was not properly warmed. It was too cold, and it shocked his system? Insulted his system?
Insulted his system. The word is a medical word. Dr. Aaron, who was the chief operating surgeon during that emergency, Dr. Benjamin Aaron, told me that the transfusions that Reagan had, some of which were older, colder blood than what he was losing, was at the very top, I'm quoting him now, the very top of major physiological insults to the body, worse than a beating, a prolonged beating.
I want to show you a quote from Shakespeare and see if this has any meaning to your book. As you like it, I'll put it on the screen. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in this time plays many parts.
Yes, Ronald Reagan once touched on this phenomenon. He said, you know, the thing about my dad that has always perplexed me is that he's had all these lives. He was a radio sportscaster, he was a film star, he was a soldier, he was a trade union leader, he was a corporate spokesman, he was a governor, he was a president. He said, the thing I cannot understand is not one of these parts seems to have rubbed off on him.
We have to leave it there, Edmund Morris. We thank you very much, and let the controversy and the book reading continue.
Thank you, Tim.
And we'll be right back with more of Meet the Press right after this.
The great thing about investing responsibly is it can work. I found first-generation Americans that put money aside for the kids to go to college. I see people that are in retirement. Others invested their inheritance with us. When you come to Fidelity.com, you can get the tools to make you a more responsible investor. The discipline, the research analysis, the sense of responsibility will not change. Those are Fidelity principles.
Millions of Americans have invested responsibly with Fidelity. We can help you do the same.
You know, I wonder if you can fix that truck again.
E-tailers like Amazon.com choose priority mail. Shouldn't you?
My buddies and I are trying to take better care of ourselves. Now, okay, maybe our wives are making us. So last night I picked up these buffalo wings from Morningstar Farms. They're made from vegetables and grains.
Hey, let's see what happens when I tell her.
Hey guys, you know these are meat-free?
Which is the bigger surprise? How good they are, or how good they are for you? Morningstar Farms. Enjoy eating better.
You know, I wonder if you can fix that truck again.
E-tailers like Amazon.com choose priority mail. Shouldn't you?
Coming up on Dateline tonight.
Tim, it's bank robbery in the computer age. How safe is your money, whether you bank online or pay by check? The latest in a Dateline investigation tonight at 7, 6 Central. Tim?
Jane Pauley starts your day tomorrow and Today with Katie and Matt. Then the NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. We'll be back next week. If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press.
The countdown to 2000 in Pioneer Courthouse Square.
Need brakes? Now during the Midas $40 lifetime brakes rebate, save $20 per axle or $40 for your whole car. Lifetime guaranteed $40 in savings right now. Go safely. Go Midas.
This is how hundreds of thousands of smokers have quit. It's the gradual step-down method, and you get it only from Nicoderm CQ. Store brand patches have only one step. You can't step down your dose. Nicoderm CQ has 3. You step down gradually, and gradual is the method doctors prefer. Quitting's important. Choose carefully. Nicoderm CQ. The power to calm, the power to comfort, the power to help you quit.
Get to the Sears Too Busy to Buy tire sale. Right now, you'll find great prices on brands like Michelin, Bridgestone, and more. That should keep you going. Steel-belted satisfaction. Sears, the good life at a great price, guaranteed.
Pentium 3 processor owners, we've designed a website especially for you. Intel's Web Outfitter service. everything you need for a great internet experience. You can mix your own music, improve the quality of your pictures, even create your own websites. Intel's Web Outfitter service. Get it now. Free at Intel.com.
CBS Sports thanks you for watching this presentation of the National Football League.
So what do? Do you carpool the kids? Or commute with your neighbors? Do you coach the Dukes? Or just prefer to be alone? Do you like to shop till you drop? Or have a night out on the town? The Accord for the year 2000. It fits, no matter what you do.
If you're in the market for an RV, check out Gresham RV Center, your Holiday Rambler headquarters. Gresham RV will save you money on a new Holiday Rambler. Shop in Gresham. The selection has never been better. Gresham RV offers you an award-winning service department, factory-trained techs, and a large parts and accessory store, open 7 days a week. Get the lowest price and the best service on your new Holiday Rambler. We're easy to find, just 3.5 miles off I-84 East, exit 16. Gresham RV Center, serving Portland and Vancouver for 20 years.
Did you buy from Bob?
No.
With advantages like these, to not buy from Bob could be considered a sin.
Just buy Bob.